Red, he wanted you to have it. Take it.
You ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it! Ride on!
Welcome everybody! I know it's been a while since my last review video. I had some medical complications to deal with, and by complications I mean seizures. But I've mostly gotten through it all now, save for my shoulder, which is still recovering from being dislocated. But thankfully, however, I can still play most PC games rather comfortably at this point. And lately I've been getting more and more into the Monster Hunter franchise. And recently a Monster Hunter game hit the PC market that's been perfect for my situation. So now I'm going to share my thoughts on that with all of you. Grab your Pokemon, I mean Monsties, and get ready to ride on. This is Monster Hunter Stories 2.
Let's go.
That shit. Hey, where are they going? Bastard. Tsukino,
I'm here.
I need you to tail them.
Mission accepted. Moon's blessing emerge.
It's pretty easy to notice that Stories doesn't exactly use the same art style as the mainline Monster Hunter games. Stories prefers a lighter, cartoony anime style that can even be reminiscent of Studio Ghibli on occasion, and personally, I have no big qualms with it. The environments don't really feel like much to look at. Like, yeah, they look nice, but that's about it. There's nothing that feels extraordinary about them. It's just nice that they are able to make the distinction very clear between what's just an environmental piece and what's a actual resource that you can gather. But that's not really why you're here. The monsters all look distinct and well designed, and that's the important part as far as presentation goes. The second most important part, in my opinion, being the music. This is a JRPG after all, so you'll be hearing the same soundtrack a lot throughout your time playing. And while the music itself is good, especially the battle music and the victory themes, sometimes it feels a little inconsistent. For instance, sometimes when I enter a new location or an open world exploration area, I'll get some nice background music while running around, and then other times, pure silence. I'm not really sure why the music just ceases to play. You'd think a big open environment could use nice ambient background music, but it's just not there sometimes. I don't really know why. But these are mostly just minor gripes. As a whole, the game is presented rather well, assuming this kind of art style is your thing. Speaking of anime...
Why did you enter the sacred mountain without our permission?
Why? A dangerous Rathalos lives there. Don't you think you should have mentioned that?
What do you mean, dangerous? The Rathalos that inhabits the sacred mountain is Guardian Ratha. He protects this island.
Huh? The people it injured might say otherwise.
That's because you raised your weapons at him.
So you're saying we should stand before a monster unarmed?
This is a rider's island. Brandishing weapons at Guardian Ratha is an unforgivable act.
You play as an aspiring rider, someone who tames and rides monsters, which are explicitly called monsties in this game. Your character specifically has your home village's eyes on you since you're the grandchild of Red, a rider of legendary renown who had his own equally legendary Rathalos back in the day. You're given a kickstart to becoming a rider when word spreads of monsters causing trouble around your home island, which you are tasked to investigate. Along the way, you meet a cat named Naviru and a collection of other characters, all of which just happen to have known Red personally. Small world, huh? Regardless, you learn that Rathalos from all over are disappearing and some monsters are being driven mad by some mysterious force. And so you set off to investigate and stop whatever's causing all of this, while being trailed by other forces along the way. The one thing that popped into my mind as I was watching the story was mostly just how much Red is mentioned. Like, I get it, you're his grandkid and all, and his Rathalos might have something to do with the story, but seriously, nobody will stop talking about Red or how you're related to him at all. Maybe it's the writer's way of getting past trying to address a nameless and mute main character directly, but sometimes it just feels awkward how characters rarely acknowledge your own character's progress and feats without using it to mention Red somehow. On the subject of feats, let's move over to gameplay. As I stated earlier in the video, Stories is a JRPG spin-off of the mainline Monster Hunter franchise. So, rather than playing as a hunter who directly fights the monsters on their own, you instead are a rider who raises monsters from eggs who will then accompany you in your journey and join you in combat. Now, if you're not careful, you can easily screw up a JRPG combat system. The idea behind a turn-based JRPG combat system is deceptively simple, so a developer could easily end up making a system so simple and basic that it's boring, or try so hard to add on extra ideas that it becomes too complicated and just becomes a headache to learn. Thankfully, however, Stories 2 manages to walk the tightrope decently well. Essentially what they did was take a collection of basic systems like a rock, paper, scissors attack type system, monster part targeting system, elemental bonuses, and weapon types, and creates the complexity by giving you multiple methods of comboing these systems together, such as getting a lot of damage in by not only selecting the right weapon type, but also by getting a synchronized attack on top of that by using the same attack type as your monstie. And you can keep adding these combos together even to the point of being able to pull off a synchronized kinship attack with your ally if you both use your built-up kinship skills at the exact same time. It all works decently well together. You essentially make it as complicated as you want it to be, because you can just interact with each of these systems individually, but if you really want to improve your gameplay and really get the most out of it, you teach yourself what combos you want to put in. The one area I feel like the game falls a little bit behind on is the elements, though. It's there, definitely, but it just doesn't feel quite as important as attack types in a head-to-head encounter and such, unless you're woefully unprepared for it. So it just kind of gets a little harder to notice than the other systems, but it's not really a massive dock on the game. I should also add this game has a lot of crafting in it. A lot of crafting. So if you're not gathering resources out there in the open environment, you're doing something wrong. You need to be gathering resources all the time. Always gather resources. And that is Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin, registered trademark. It's definitely a well-made JRPG that mostly falls short in the areas of story and a little bit of presentation, but nothing in the way that makes the game unplayable by any means. It's just personal gripes I have. It's a fun little JRPG that even works decently well on mouse and keyboard, which is great given my situation. The most I had to do was just change my interact button, since I'm apparently one of those weird people who uses E as their interact key instead of F. Is that weird? I don't know. Either way, it's good to be back. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later.